What's going on, you Fealty gamers? I hope you're having a good day, and I'm weighing in on it. Okay, I'm weighing in on the Ooblets thing. I'm not. Golly, what do you think? I have many thoughts. Okay, I have many thoughts. Oh, hitting my microphone here. Golly gosh, I've been sitting here reading and reading and reading because I'm like, golly, there's a lot to this. So let's get on into it. If you don't know about Ooblets, we could watch really quick. I'll show you a little. They have this little video here. I'm gonna mute it though, because and I can play the sound here for you without me hearing it through my speakers right now. So Ooblets looks like an indie game, like a Farmville mixed with like, I don't know, you're raising up these little ooblet things and stuff. I mean, it's definitely a game that I probably wouldn't be playing, but I don't know, maybe. Maybe? I mean, I do like playing indie games, just to get that out of the way. Like, I do like playing and supporting indie games. I think that we're in a place in time right now where the top tier of the gaming world, the AAA companies, are just continuously being horrible. So I do try and pick up, and whether I play it or not, I try and pick up indie games when I can, so that hopefully maybe we'll start getting companies rising up from the bottom that are trying new things, going in new directions, new visual styles, and just new. You know, what we're seeing in the AAA realm, we're just seeing old and then reboots and just failures of just game creation, and with all that mixed in microtransactions, which all in all just suck. I mean, we just heard Crash Bandicoot, which is a reboot of an old game, the Crash Team Racing, now has microtransactions in it. What was it, two months since release? So I try and really support indie companies as much as I can. Like, my Steam list of games is just gigantic at this point. But so that aside, I wanted to come into this with a completely just, I mean, all I know is I've been seeing people talk about ooblets, 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 ooblets. I'm seeing people like things on Twitter or commenting and stuff. I'm just seeing everyone talk about ooblets, and I could see that it's revolving around the Epic Games Store again. So I was like, let me do some research into it, since I already made a video talking about the Epic Games Store, and researching who the heck Epic Games is and where they've gone, where they've come from and everything. I might link that video in the info card section at the top right of the video. So I went into it. So I looked through. They had a post. I'll link all these links in the video. I don't understand people who talk about things on the internet and then they don't have the links in their description. It's like, you just talked about that thing. Why don't you link it? Because I'm like, I want to go read it for myself. And then you look down below and you're like, oh, let me go down the rabbit hole to find it. So they made this, it seems to all have started from this post here. This seems to be the main problem, and it's the post talking about the fact that they're going to do an Epic Games Store exclusive, and about their company and everything. But it really is, it's written, this is a two-person company. It's a two-person company. One person's doing the coding, and the guy who's writing this seems to be, I saw in a post on I think it was their Patreon. He made a post on there, and it talks about he's like a web dev, and he mainly does web stuff. And Rebecca, his wife, is doing the actual coding of the game. So she's making the game. The game is her thing completely, and he's kind of like the one who's making the website and this stuff. And she taught herself how to do 3D. Game creation and everything. I think they're using Unity for the game. So she's taught herself pretty much everything. This is her baby. This is everything she's put her work into for years now. And I'll get into their whole Patreon. Like, you can really see this has been a labor of love for her. Like, she's just loving getting to know people. Just seems like just a warm-hearted person in many ways. But whereas this guy, what was his name again? Can't remember his name, but he doesn't seem to be good with people at all. Everyone kept talking about this Epic thing, so we thought we'd see what it's all about. Okay. You know, there's definitely someone who doesn't know about PR, I would imagine, because, this Epic thing is a massive controversy where you have gamers on two different sides, and yes, the gamers on the side that are against Epic do sometimes have some points, and the ones that are on the side of business and just being like, hey, free market business, Steam should be able to defeat Epic easily, but honestly, we haven't seen anything from the Steam, really. I don't understand what's going on there. Nothing. No real changes or upgrades at all coming from that company, nor any new real game releases. Here's what these Epic folks are doing. First, they teach every kid in the world these obnoxious dances, and now they're all, so it's a mixture of like humor. They talk about Karl Marx here. Just so weird. Really weird. Epic paying for PC exclusives has become the latest thing gamers have gotten angry about, which I'll talk more about a bit further down. Oh gosh, and he talks so much about everything. Should have just been like, hey y'all, the two of us here really saw that there's a deal, and this is the, things we get in the deal, and we've got to take it. We got to take it, if we want to make the second version of this game. Because the thing that sucks for indie game companies is, let's say they release on Steam. Now they lose 30% of what, is actually being sold for the game. And then on top of that, Steam, it just gets lost in this whole mire of all these indie games. Steam does try and, focus on some games here and there and spread the word about them and stuff, but it's just going to get lost. They're not going to really hit their goal target for, what they'd want to make off the game. They've got rent, they've got food, they've got health insurance, they've got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sure taxes that they have to pay, on that money too. So you take out the 30% of what's going to Steam, and then you take out another, then what, 40% for what's going to have to go to taxes, depending on where they live in the world. And then at the end of the day, they're sitting there left with, what, 30% of the final product there? Of what they're not going to be able to charge $60 for this game. Definitely not. This is going to have to be like a $40 game, most likely, or less. Especially since they're a new company. It's their first foray into making this type of game and everything. They max $40. So what are they making off of that? $12 off of each sale. Maybe they're going to move maybe like 1,000 units, so $12,000 they make off of this game. That's not enough for them to say, hey, let's quit the job, let's get a building and whatnot and really start working on games, right? It's really not, Let's say maybe they make $100,000, so they move 10,000 units somehow. It's just not enough to then turn it around and say, hey, let's make a second game. And what I hope for indie game companies is that they get the chance to go from that one game to a second game. I do wish this game was a little bit more, towards my style, but the artistic feeling of it does look really cool. And I do like the fact that she's taught herself how to make this stuff. And, as a YouTuber, I've taught myself how to do everything I have here to do towards making videos and edit videos and everything. To me, that really hits me in the feels, and, I think it's really cool. So then he keeps on going, angry at Epic, us, the world, really just saying things that don't need to be said. As a user of both Steam and EGS myself, I haven't had any issues with using EGS to buy and play games personally, but regarding the features that are still missing, that's just sort of the way software is developed. So, that's one of the things I mentioned in my past video about Epic Games, is that they do have a lot of things on the list that they're working on, but there has been a lot of things that people have been talking about, of like privacy and tracking of software and information and everything on Epic side. So there's been a lot more to it than just, oh, this thing doesn't have everything that Steam has. There's been a lot of questions going on, especially since Tencent owns a lot of Epic Games. Well, not a lot, but they own a portion of Epic Games, and then in that kind of shadiness going on and everything. So, there are reasonable things that have been talked about against Epic Games, but I do think that for me, they are outweighed by everything else. Then he's like, I can understand frustration of having to buy different consoles to play the games you want, but there's no extra cost to use EGS. The store and the launcher require free sign up. It's not like having to pay for HBO, Netflix, and Hulu. Like, yet again, like, when I read the post, like, I just kept on saying, like, but there's no reason to say that. Like, there's no, I understand where you're coming from. Like, hey, this is just a free launcher. Like, it's just someone who just doesn't know how to talk to the greater, group of human beings out there, especially when it comes to a topic as kind of volatile as the Epic Games Store is. It's just, you don't need to say it. Just why? Just say it was the best deal for us. That's it. That's it. It was really for us to be able to do what we want to do. We could really utilize the fact that they're giving us a minimum guarantee of amount of units sold. Pretty much, that's what they've gotten. Is they're no matter what. When the game launches, they're getting X amount of money, and they felt that I'm guaranteeing they felt like that was going to be way more than what they felt like they were going to sell in the first place, and especially with that 30% that they would have been losing to Steam, and then taxes and everything else. All the work that she's put into, Rebecca's put into this game for years now, it's kind of like, hey, at least I have a guarantee that all this time that I've spent for my life and growing as, this and that, as a coder and everything, we're going to make some money off of it, and be able to then put that maybe towards working on the next one and making it better or continuing to make this one better. Who knows? And then this was the weirdest part. Here are just a few suggestions after talking about look at things going on around you and ask yourself if there might be anything just a tad more worthwhile to be upset about. Climate change, human rights abuses, the new Twitter desktop UI. You could tell it's I'm trying to say things like he's trying to say something legit. Climate change, human rights abuses are probably things that could be better talked about. Me personally, I think you should talk about financial things, especially since it looks like we're coming towards a collapse, and cryptocurrencies should be something you should talk about, but, that's a whole other thing. New Twitter desktop UI, last season of Game of Thrones. Those last two were jokes. Please don't yell at people around. It's someone who's just not used to talking to people, but I understand where people get really pissed off, that it's here's another company going exclusive on PC. When I made that last Epic Games video, one of the comments was that PC never really had exclusivity on PC versus PC. If something was on PC, it was just on PC. But I do think we're coming as PC didn't often have also, until Steam, we didn't really have a big whole conglomeration of, games being in one place to download, update, and everything. I mean, you'd have a downloader for each game you played. I mean, I remember opening up World of Warcraft. It had its own thing. You open up StarCraft. It had its own thing. And that's from the same company. So it was nice that we're starting to get these downloading programs that are a family of programs for each company. And then, for companies that do all the companies like Steam and everything. It's kind of, to me, it's this is the next step, is that companies, to compete with each other, will sometimes try and grab some exclusivity to say, hey, this is why you'd want to use mine instead of theirs. So for me, with the whole Epic Games thing is, if the things are correct on them tracking our data and selling our data and stuff, then no, we can't do that. I'm hoping cryptocurrencies come into the world so we can have some privacy, but have, real trust on a network and be able to utilize that trust to exist on a network and be able to purchase things. But we're still ways away from that happening. So, I can't really fret about that. But, I can understand that. I can understand people not wanting to have like 20 different downloaders. I can understand people getting a little bit annoyed that it's like you kind of expect games on PC to be coming out on like everything and then they're not anymore, and we're kind of moving into a new world. Change always causes, problems. And then, I'm not going to get too much into the medium one because this is just way too much. Him talking about things that were said and all the comments and everything. I can't really talk about that. It's the internet, freedom of speech. It really sucks. Some of the things people are going to say, and especially since they're probably not people who were involved in this game at all beforehand, just kind of jumping on like a hate wagon in a way. It's anytime in like I've been doing a lot of research on the changes of monetary systems over time, and every time we have a monetary change, there's a lot of strife in the world, especially between person to person, and we are coming up upon one in the future. So a lot of people, especially around the world right now, are struggling and are really hampered financially and just don't have much, just trying to find their way in a world that really is not conducive to that anymore. The buying power of dollars all around the world are going down, and people are having to spend $15 for a freaking pizza. Over here in New York, sometimes you gotta pay over $20 for a pizza. Like, things are getting pretty grim for a lot of people. And, for some people, hey, it's a little bit easier to hate and then focus like a laser beam on something else instead of their own selves. But I can understand, though, after this post, I really can understand how some people can take offense to the way this is worded and just the lack of caring whatsoever and lack of just logical explanation. Just like, hey, we're two people. It's going to really help us a lot, But then I was like, all right, let me look into the Patreon. So I scrolled all the way to the bottom. I got one here from the top. I got one here from the bottom, because I want to see what the first post was about. And it's Rebecca talking about how she's like learning in 2007, January 2007, So this is over 2 years ago. Things we learned part one getting started with Twitter. So, talking about like her first foray into like, getting to talk to people and everything, and talk about like post as a person, catch people in 5 seconds and stuff. Like, it can come off as kind of odd when, you're talking about like how I talk with people on the internet, as a business, kind of comes off weird. But like, I read through all of this, really like trying everything I could read through that's not locked away from me. But I did not once see them pointing out, other than saying it's going to be on PC and Xbox, that it would be on Steam or it would be on one thing or the other. And I looked through their tiers, and I tried to get like an older version of this page, like the time hop thing or whatnot. I couldn't find anything that would show maybe like before all this went down, did these things say different things. I tried looking for any posts that would say that it said different things, and nowhere did I see that it said anything about you would receive the game. Nothing. So this was just people who were supporting a company that two people that were making a game. That's it. Nothing else was promised, So to me, I feel this whole thing is a shame. I feel this whole thing is unfortunate. I feel that it's just, I think that the main thing is I think that the main person here, what's his name? It's gotta be here somewhere. Well, Rebecca and her husband. Oh, it's probably on here. Perplamps. Rebecca and Perplamps. Just the best thing I think at this point is to, just say like, hey, we needed to make some money. And Epic doesn't take 30% from a game sale, on top of the fact that Epic was going to give you some money to make the game and a guarantee of a minimum amount sold, and, this and that, and that's why we're going to Epic Game Store. That's it. then don't reply aside from that. What can you do? And it's just how the world is right now. It's a shame. It's a shame. But yeah, I mean, after looking at everything, I can't really say I blame Rebecca and Perplamps. But I also can't fully blame the people that are against Epic Games Store. To them, this is a company that's stealing games, that's making their world of gaming much smaller, that's, being anti PC mindset. And I don't mean, politically correct. I mean personal computer mindset, where everything should be open. You got open source coding. If it could run on a PC, you should be able to get it on a PC how you want to have it on a PC. There's been a mindset on PC for a very, very long time, whereas, especially in gaming, whereas in the console world, that mindset hasn't been there. Exclusivity and everything has been there on console for a very long time. That's how they compete with each other. But now that we have different downloaders that the sole purpose of them are to just sell you games from multiple companies, they're bringing that console mentality over. So it's like, I can understand a lot of the mindset of the people who are against Epic Games, but I really understand the indie developer that's like, I need to make some money, and I want to make more games, and I want to continue supporting this game. As an indie game developer, $12,000 or even $120 is not going to get you that far after taxes, after rent, after everything you got to do. It's not going to get you that far, especially two people living, depending on wherever they live. They could be spending $2,000. You live in New York, spend over $2,000 a month in rent. That $120,000 after taxes and everything is going to feel mighty small. I'm sure you're going to have to be paying high electricity bills. You're going to have to be paying for all of, water, everything, heating. And, do you want to have a TV to watch outside of just sitting there coding all day long? Probably, just a little sanity. Do you want to be able to just go outside in the outside world and go anywhere, without walking? Maybe once in a while it would be nice, instead of being a prisoner to the financial system, So it's like, I really can understand everybody, but it is a shame, and I do think that, it is a shame that the world right now is in a way that, the internet is filled with a lot of hate, but the world's filled with a lot of suffering, and, it's a shame they come hand in hand. It really is. But I think that's my final thoughts on this. Just thinking it out. I know I didn't get to everything. I did have Eurogamer here and Kotaku, but they really are saying most of the things I was saying. And I had the Epic Games statement that they're going to be supporting Ooblets and everything. But I think I said pretty much everything that I feel like saying on this topic. Thank you for watching. I don't hope that this video was, like, an enjoyable video. Like, I hope that this wasn't like, ooh, he's talking about, like, a saucy topic. I feel it's unfortunate that, I felt obliged to kind of weigh in on this. But I do hope that we can find a more leveled mindset and way of dealing with these things, from start of, hey, the post should have been better, to the reaction should have been better, to all the explanation should have been better and everything, but yeah, the threats, though, that's unfortunate. All right, yet again, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a good day. I hope that you have a good game to play today. There's plenty out there. I'm still playing a little bit of Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is pretty much Harry Potter in anime. If you want to check that out, it's not a bad game, but be ready to be a teacher and a professor if you want. And we'll be back for another video, I think, on Thursday, most likely. But thank you for coming by. Bye, everybody.
Like, comment, subscribe, and follow if you dare.